Hi, I'm Jeremy. Welcome to our farm, Cornucopia Orchards. That behind me is the house that I've been building. A little help from my dad and my wife and my brother. Oh my goodness, almost 2 years now. If you haven't been part of the channel before, then welcome. And it's springtime. We've just passed the first day of spring. Girls are laying their eggs. Spring is sprung. Look at those big fat maple leaves coming out. The grass is indeed riz, and there's no need to wonder where the birdies is if you can hear that ruckus. The field where we haven't yet tilled has little trees, wild roses, plenty of blackberries coming up, and here and there, poison oak that we haven't yet murdered. Wild cherry is in bloom. Hard to see it from there, but there's a lot of bees on that. I'm happy to report that even this little guy here, this apple tree, which is taking the longest time to decide to come out of leaf, those buds are all good. It is coming out. This one's in full leaf, and I've plucked off most all of the blossoms. There's still a few down there I gotta get there beyond my reach without messing with this wire. Our other apple trees are out and are gonna put on some good growth for us hopefully this year. Hopefully they've got themselves sufficiently established. Very challenging conditions to get this picture for you, but you see those little stubbies on this tree here? That's our Paulownia, the one that I was so tickled with all last year. And it's about to put out its leaves too. I know you're just as excited as I am for another year filled with pretty Paulownias. And as often happens, I got myself a little squirrely the other day and started another project. This one at least allowed me to work and listen for the kids and did not involve me stepping away every 5 minutes from whatever it is I'm working on, so that I could go check on them, make sure they hadn't, I don't know, disappeared, vanished into the aether, bonked each other on the head with a big stick, you know, the usual 4- and 6-year-old activities. So we're up here by the shop, and I got this thing put together in record time, I feel. Certainly for someone who didn't know what the heck they were doing, record time. And it served its purpose more than, for sure, for us. Thank goodness it's been here. I never put in a drainage system, so that's what I got going on here. We're cutting back to where we have a slight slope away. Obviously this whole situation is, there's a slope here, and I'm going to try and rectify that a little bit more than it is. I have some options. I haven't figured out whether I'm going to do concrete pad and stick these on top, you know, treat it essentially like a drop edge, and then treat it like a little mini foundation for a retaining wall, or whether I'll just build those up and then put pavers. The cost isn't that different, so it's kind of just what I want to do. So we'll see. And it does come down this hillside right now. It bevels right into the shop, which is not what we want to see. So I'm going to use a lot of that rock that's behind me there. I'm going to stick it all on this side and try and create a slope over to the other side. And then eventually it's going to be sloped all the way down. There's still a remainder of our trough here from our utilities that go down to the house. And so I'm going to open that up, put in a hard pipe about a foot down, and convert this into hard pipe, go down, and I'm going to punt across the driveway. I have two other options for that drainage, and one of them is I can punt it out on the other side of the shop and send it, you know, into the field, into the garden, or I can bring it down here, and you can see this is the end of that little trough. I can either re-excavate this, which is very deep, and then just add a little French drain right here, and then now all of this stuff is going to catch into that before it hits the house, and then I can pull that in, or I can run it down and then cut it across. What I'd like to do is I'm just going to attach it into the building's drain, and then for sure some variety at the edge of the deck, I'm going to put in some variety of another drain catchment with a real proper round rock wrapped drainage, because, and I got to get down there a ways, because burn darn it, that utilities entry into the crawl space, it pulls water in particular the communications pipe pass through that I put underneath the poured foundation, and I've tried plugging it and it's still doing it, and I already did put fire block spray foam into the conduit, which hasn't burned down yet, so I think we're fine. But it plugged it, because that's the other thing to watch out for. If you've got conduit, and I glued it and seated it properly in this run, so that's not it. For whatever reason, it must move in the soil and those seals may break or whatever. Maybe I used the wrong glue. It said, you know, I used Christie's Red Hot, so it said it can be used on conduit. But it pulls from, you know, the whole hillside comes down into this little catchment right now, kind of right down there by the shop. And then it goes through straight down, and it was just pouring out of that conduit up into the crawl space at the top of the stem wall. So I had to fix that, and there's still some more stuff I've got to do in there to get that to stop. Realistically though, that's all in the future, and it's, you know, baby steps is all I can do right now. But I'd like to get this section fixed up and then recovered one way or another. And then I have some plans for later in the year to use some of the leftover roofing material, unless somebody does end up buying it before then. We're going to put in a little covered section along this side of the shop and a teeny tiny one on the far side of the shop around the doors. And that will hopefully help with the, you know, the simple fact that the doors weren't really sealed properly. I didn't know what I was doing. Not a huge deal, because, you know, what's inside of the shop is a concrete floor, but the water is getting in. And I know that if I simply put in a nice section of roof along here, nice little covered section of roof 6 foot out, that'll stop. And that's the magic of having a good covered roof section. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and you can see I've got a screw line, and that's hitting a 2x6. And so most of the way down here, we're just going to take that and bring it all the way across, and I'm going to cut that. We're going to slip a, you know, what we need up into there. I could take the metal back even farther. And if I decide that's not tall enough, I can go up higher and, you know, cut the metal and add a girt in. And you know, we can go from there. It's not going to be all that much work. And once it's done, you know, it's going to really, really help with this structure's longevity. And anytime you put, you know, covers over windows or doors, it does nothing but good, so long as you attach it into the house correctly. And, you know, doing it correctly is not hard. It's certainly not as hard as getting a door like this to not leak at all. And, you know, the other thing about a door like this that's really great about having a roof over top of it of some kind shorter than the 14 foot or 12 foot or whatever that is up there, is that, you know, you won't be standing in the rain when you're trying to get in.
Heavier like those heavy rocks.
Your name is...
Well, it's a bit of a blustery day, but we passed our inspection for insulation, and the comment was made that we are going to have a very, very well insulated house. I got the impression that a lot of the work that the inspector has to see is, how to put it, production, and that is an area where they tend to fight the inspectors on, at least in this county, which most of this county and most of at least the western part of Oregon, because the eastern part of Oregon does get some pretty cold temperatures sometimes. We're lumped in with the same category for the whole state, therefore, as the Midwest. And so even though we have a very mild climate, all things, you know, all things considered, I don't know, but we passed. So Casey and I have been working more quite steadily, and we're going to try and wrap pretty much on it today on the insulation for the interior. And it's hard to film. It's hard to do anything like interesting because, you know, outside of the doorway when I first step in, you want to have a mask on as soon as you start touching this, because it does there's a lot of particulate that comes up and it makes me cough. So yeah, it's going well. We're down to, you know, this one big mountain, and I'm going to have to apologize to Lowe's. Let me tell you why. So here's the deal. I relied way too much, having been burned on not ordering enough lumber and having to make several additional orders. And partly that was strategic because when we were ordering lumber, it was the worst part of the pandemic. And so I was trying to delay what I could delay until hoping that the prices would come back down, and it sort of worked. But that was really annoying. And, and so I used an online estimator provided by the place where I bought the insulation from to help guide me in how much insulation I was ordering. And I vastly underestimated the impact of our 37 windows and 3 exterior doors. It's ordered by bundle, is the way they explained it to me. And so you'd order in bundles, and we were ordering 1 bag out of the last bundle of 5. So from that standpoint, over-ordered realistically by 11. Okay, so then what happened is we thought we were going to use the R21 in our rim joist areas. And remember, we ended up using that R30 that was left over that we can't return. And so that probably saved us 4 or 5 bags between the floors. And then we also had, completely forgotten about this. I thought it had been used. My dad had some R19 that is allowed in Oregon to be used as the deep burial cover for the crawl space insulation. And so we used that, and that saved me probably 4 or 5 bags. So again, there's a lot of bags here. So I figured there's 27 bags left here. We have this ceiling, a few walls here on the main floor. We won't do stuff like this wall because there's no point to it. It's just a little baby wall, and it's not really separating anything. But we will do the dining and that wall over there, and as much as we can in here. And, you know, in case we ever put a heat pump water heater in here, like a high performance one, we'll probably put it around the closet, at least partly, you know, up onto the wall here, although this part I don't think we will bother. And we still have a little bit left to do in here, but that's kind of all we really need. So we're going to be finding some extra uses for it upstairs beyond what we'd intended. Let's take a look. So I've got to pull this guy, maybe this guy out, so that we can run our drywall through there and then take it through the master, walk it back through this hallway into this bedroom so that we can take these sheets up the stairs. And then I realized, actually my dad realized and pointed out, that it can't make this corner. So we'll stop, I'll pull that sheet, and then it's got to go back through there for us to get it up here into the attic. I still think it's worth it. So yeah, that's one of the things I'm doing today, is taking that. Long story short, the least I think we'll be returning of those is probably 10 bags, and it probably is going to be more like 15. So we'll know by the end of today, and then I'm going to make a load or 2 tomorrow and return, depending on, you know, how much is left and what I can fit. Who am I kidding? I'll probably return that extra anyway. Use it everywhere we can, and then return the extra because we need it. And it's going to get recycled right back into that same pool. So we're making great progress. There's really not a whole lot left that we need to do. At most, probably 5 bags, and that's including 3 or 4 bags for the upstairs that we're saving for a future project. We have a little bit here. That's the biggest section left, is right around the Met closet on this side. Other than that, I've got to pull these stairs, remember. I got to pull these out up till that wall. So we have an easy time of going up those stairs with our drywall delivery tomorrow. So measuring tape tells me I can fit my 1, 2, 3 stacks in this space. And then if I needed to, I could put one here, but I don't. I mean, essentially you're looking at 70 pounds per sheet and 40-pound live load distributed over 48 square feet of floor means that they should be okay at, 27 maxed at 40, but 25 is what we're going to do per stack. We're going to flat stack them on the floor down here. 375, that's half. We might put one more coming this way since we've moved the little bench that's right here. And then temporarily, because you know it's going to be a fair amount just getting it in, depending on the weather, we might put one stack in here. I'd written down what I thought we were going to need for each floor. Tomorrow, I'll finish cleaning. I'm going to remove these stairs, and then it's a clear path in. So the real kicker is I don't know where I'm going to have them drop these pallets. I just gave this the footstep test since my feet are slightly longer with the shoes than 12 inches. It's not going to work. I don't think it's real close, but I don't think it's going to quite work. So I might move some of that and then flat stack them in here. When I was a kid, we had a stack of drywall that sat for a little while in the hallway that was like the mudroom entry for our house. And kids can be pretty stupid, and I'm no exception. And I tried climbing on it, it fell on me, and that wasn't very pleasant. And I don't want my kids to have drywall fall on them, so. We're up here on the second floor. I can fit 2 stacks here, should I want to. There's support all along right here, all the way down to the foundation. So once we have what's upstairs and whatever we're gonna put into here, I could put a stack here if I wanted. I just finished cleaning today, and we're all ready for receiving all this product. I have an idea or two about what to do to keep the drywall from falling down the hill, but to keep it close to the house. And I'm gonna see what the driver thinks. Not that I trust that entirely, but we'll get his suggestion as well. I'm gonna go and make sure I have a good plan for this, so I don't take up too much stuff. Because once it's up here in the 4x12, this is where it lives. And on the other hand, I want to have a good plan because once we start closing up walls, nothing's making it up here in that size. So at that point, it would have to be 4x8s. It's not a huge deal, but I don't want to have to, you know, order the 4x12 and then cut it just to fit it around the door. So we're going to be smart as I can be about this with my limited brain power. And one of the things that involves is how we work these triangle spaces under the eaves. So our 10-on-12 pitch roof allows us a pretty good sized little attic space up here. And, you know, I'm not even really thinking of this as an attic. It's almost like a 3rd floor, kind of. Technically it's not. If it was, then there's a whole bunch of rules that would apply to the house that don't, thank goodness. But these little wings, they're not really usable other than for storage, and they might be a godsend for that. But my plan right now is we're going to get sheets up into here, and then this is more than 4 foot. So I should be able, with some maneuvering perhaps, to get, you know, a 4x12 even to slide in there, I'm hoping. However, we don't necessarily have to do that. We ordered 4-foot by 12 sheets for everywhere, ceilings, walls. Our first floor is 9 foot high, and I had hoped to do 54-inch and lay them on side, and supplier issues made that not possible. So we are doing a 4 by 12 cut to height at 9 feet because they also couldn't get me regular 9-foot sheets. And I don't know what it is about this part of the West Coast that makes this so hard. I know that there's a supplier in the valley that supposedly said they had this material, but they wouldn't answer the phone. They would not answer emails. They would not call back. So we moved forward. There might have been other suppliers. At the end of the day, it's not a huge deal. It will mean a few more foot on these long walls and on the first floor of seam that I have to, you know, tape mud and make it look really nice, but not a huge deal. Up here, what it means is instead of using in these spaces, I don't necessarily have to use a full length sheet. It'd be nice, but at the same time, I don't care if it's finished out as well as the rest of the house. I don't need to. I mean, perfectionist me would like it to be that way, and it might take me less time to tape and mud. But at the same time, 9 foot off of a 12-foot sheet makes a pretty good sized piece and fairly usable. And so I'm probably going to end up using those 3-foot by 4-foot pieces to help me finish out this space. And a sheet that size will go wherever I tell it to go in the house. There's plenty of room for something that big. I mean, you can make it with an 8-foot sheet anywhere in the house. Realistically, even right now, even with this sharp turn in the stairs, you could make it. It'd just be a pain. So our delivery is supposed to arrive around 1. I still got to take this out. I'm going to go and get a sandwich, and then I'll come back and I'll take this guy out, and I'll put a link into the video, maybe here, somewhere in this space, to the inspection video where we did this. And yes, it looks silly and it's kind of janky, but it used, you know, scraps and parts and pieces, and it's going to be as solid as all get out. So what I have to do is basically just take out a couple of anchoring screws there. There's one right there. There's another one that comes in here on the side. You know, so there's not a whole lot that I have to do. And I should be able to take this all apart. So that was me realizing, I think I think I put this nailer board on this corner post, the lower one. I think I put it over a big old screw. In fact, I know I did. That screws back into the stair stringer on that one side. So that's going to have to come out. But other than that, it was pretty smart. I was almost intelligent. That opens up that corner quite nicely. And now we can run down this hallway here from the big front door. I can pop open this door. We can walk out and then come up the stairs here without having that in the way. Should make it doable. Well, drywall is being delivered and we are putting this where we can. And we're going to try and get it unloaded. Definitely a much later start to the day than I had hoped for. It's like 4 o'clock. It's supposed to be 1 o'clock. So we'll see. Boy, he's carrying that high. Not sure what he thinks he has to clear here, but it's a little bit leery on this slope with these things, you know, maybe wanting to go the wrong direction. So this is what we did. Just a couple boards to help make it closer to level. There's still a slant. I think it's let's see if I can figure it out. I don't know. But this is what we're doing. Just a number of wood stickers, not the drywall stickers that are coming with these, because they just disintegrate with that kind of pressure on that open spot. But these are holding up just fine. That's the biggest set he's got, is this set of 2 and 2. I don't think he's gonna bring, we might need one more of these sticker runs. I don't think he's gonna bring up the last one, which is like 2 and then plus a little. Well, Casey and Dad's help, we are getting closer-ish here and have, I think, 34 and 34, a double high stack. So 17 trips for each. We're gonna put it all on the first floor today, and then we'll move the rest later. And then tarp the pallet of concrete, and I'll move that in tomorrow. And Ben and I are gonna finish out what's left of this delightful material tonight. It's 7 o'clock, but I think we can get it done before what's left of the sun goes away. It's not 8 o'clock yet. We beat Dad's estimate. Yep, cleaned up all that stuff, got it put away. True champion of the day is Ben. For you see, Ben walked backwards the whole time. I walked forwards. I think that's a little bit easier. That being said, we wouldn't have had to rush and hustle and push quite so hard if the delivery had been on time instead of almost 3.5 hours late. But, you know, it's hard. It's hard when you choose to do deliveries that were not scheduled to be first or something. Should I make Casey tarp this, or should I tarp it?
Probably she's putting the boys away.
Okay, I'll make her do it. That sounds good. Thanks for building with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.